All right, so we have our shrine for today. What is it, June 24th, 2023? So, what do we have perk wise? We have Tinker, Hillbilly perk, and this is one that's been nerfed, but it still can be good. And we'll kind of talk about builds to use it in. Before, it definitely was a meta perk. You just slapped it on, and if you had some regression, you get numerous procs out of Tinker. Now it's going to be, I guess, what, seven at most? Is how many gens are in the map? In the game. So you might get 7 if they're spreading out on them, but it's probably gonna be more like 5 as they're trying to finish stuff up. But basically, once the generator hits 70% progress, you get a loud noise notification to let you know that it's about to be finished, and you become undetectable for 14 seconds. So if you can take advantage of that undetectable and maybe regress the gen, you can get a lot of value out of this. Um, so pull our pen up here. The problem is you get a set amount of uses out of it. And if you're in chase or you're hooking somebody or you're dealing with something at the time, you might not be able to go over to the gen right then. So you might get less than 5 uses out of it. So it's one of those ones where I think it's a little bit more build around or second choice kind of perk. It's just kind of just there off meta a little bit. And we'll show some builds that really maximize it. But for the information, you probably want to run something else. Uh, you really need to be taking advantage of that undetectable and utilizing a gen about to be popped to make use out of this perk. But we'll show some use cases there. We also will say that Hillbilly is a free killer. With Enduring, what else does Hillbilly have? Enduring, Tinkerer. We're missing one that we can't think of right now. We'll look at it later. But he's got some good perks. So you may want to unlock his perks anyway. So you might want to spend the BP that way and not buy him in the shrine. All right, so our second killer perk here is Blood Echo. It's an Oni perk, so it is original IP to behavior, so you can unlock the Oni with your iridescent shards, then use BP, but you also can just buy the perks here in the shrine if you have no interest in playing Oni. Now with Blood Echo, what it does is when hooking a survivor, all of their injured survivors suffer from the hemorrhage and exhaustion status effect for 45 seconds, and it's got a 60-second cooldown. The idea is you have it on Oni, so you can down hook someone and then go to someone else. They can't use their sprint burst, their dead hard, or whatever it is for 45 seconds. So it's supposed to let you chain those kind of downs together. It's one of those ones that if you're keeping people injured, making it harder to heal, there's definitely builds that you can use where Blood Echo is very strong. It's just not going to be one of those perks where you just slap on with 3 other random perks and make it work. So I think this is one of these ones where if we pull up our little handy pen here, it's more on the meme end of things, but it also could be more build around. I just think there are other perks you'd want to run instead of this. So it's there. If it's something that interests you, intrigues you, if you're the kind of person that likes to mess around and create your own builds, this is certainly a perk that you can use to do that. Uh, it's just not a must have. All right, so now we're going to jump over to our survivor perks, take a look at those. We've got no Mither, no Mither. I always question how you say that. No Mither, maybe? I think he is British, right? So he's a no Mither. But this one, they've changed a little bit throughout the time it's been in the game. But basically, you're broken. You're injured the whole entire game, but you don't leave pools of blood. Your grunts of pain are reduced 75%, and your recovery speed is increased when you're in the dying state, and you can completely recover. The tough thing is, killers know you have this, so it's not like a gotcha. If you slug me, I'm getting up. So it can be kind of hard to force, but you can have a lot of fun with trying to force it. So it's one of those perks that big drawback, but it does have some strength built in. It's just very situational. So I think this is one that kind of falls firmly in the meme category. It can be fun, but it's not going to be one that you run all the time, and you're really going to have to kind of build around it to try to make it work. There's going to be a lot of games where it just doesn't work at all as well. All right, so our second one here, and I will say David is behavior IP. I think he's free from doing. Is he free with the Wraith from doing the intro like trainings? I think now I don't know what they actually call them in here, but doing the tutorials, that's what they call them. I think he's free for doing the tutorials, so everybody's got him. You can just unlock the perk with BP. So that brings us to our last perk here, our second survivor perk, Soul Survivor, Lori Strode perk. Lori is part of the Halloween chapter there with Myers, so you have to pay real money for Lori. You may want to. She has some good perks, mainly DS, but that's been nerfed some. So maybe you want to go the Shrine route there and not spend cash. If you're free to play, definitely pick it up with iridescent shards. That way you don't have to shell out the money. But basically, what this does is every time a survivor is killed or sacrificed, you gain a token. For each token, your aura cannot be read by the killer within a max range of 24 meters. And when you're last survivor, you repair faster, 75% faster, and you open gates faster or the hatch faster if you have a key. So it's one of those ones where you're trying to survive. If you're last one, um, you do some things faster. I will definitely say you can pair it up with some other things like wake up and really open up those doors quickly. You can pair it with Bill's perk. What's Bill's perk? That helps you find the hatch. Drawing a blank right now. We'll check it out when we go into some of these build ideas. But you can kind of build around with it, but it's definitely more meme build around. Your teammates will hate you if you're running these. Is it? I can't think of the build perk right now. We'll look it up. But yeah, more build around here for kind of like being the last one alive and get your butt out of the game. Definitely kind of perk that survivors that are stuck in that solo queue loop of just dying may decide to turn to. It's an interesting one, can be a fun one there, but I will say, out of all these perks, Tinkerer is probably the one I'd say is the number one option for picking up, but your better option may be using BP to unlock it instead of the Shrine, and the rest of these are, you got to really want them, really be intrigued by building around them in order to pick those up. So this is one that you definitely want to have in your repertoire, in your perk selection, but it might be better to just dump those BPs into the Hillbilly and unlock it that way. And we'll get into some builds here. I'm going to turn this off real quick. We'll jump over into some builds and we'll talk a little bit. But that build perk is driving me nuts. So with Laurie Strode Soul Survivor, if you really wanted to, you kind of pair it up with Left Behind and really go for an end game, get out the hatch or open the door really fast kind of play with, what is it, Wake Up? Wake Up here. So what does it give you? Another 15%. So you got 15 and 15. So was that 65% faster doors, which is big. If you have a killer patrolling the gates and trying to go back and forth, this can definitely get you out. So if you want to go that route and try to play for the late game, maybe stealth out and then go for the gate or the hatch, there's some perks to help you with that. Now, when it comes to the killer perks, Tinkerers are a big recommendation. And we know Enduring, and I'm drawing a blank on the third Hillbilly perk. So we're going to take a look here. So with the Hillbilly, you've got Enduring, which we talked about earlier this week. Good perk. Lightborn. Okay, and Lightborn's the third one there. If you're struggling with flashlights, Lightborn makes you immune to those and then reveals auras. So definitely 3 perks here along with Tinkerer that you might want. So our recommendation is instead of the Shrine, use your blood points to unlock these perks. But if you don't feel like dumping them in the Hillbilly and just feel like picking them up as they show up, you can always go that Shrine round as well. Now with Tinkerer, it used to be one of those ones where you just would go barbecue Tinkerer and like pop and corrupt, and you'd call it a build. And you get lots and lots of uses out of Tinkerer because you'd be able to pop the gen, regress it back below 70, they'd hit it again, you get another Tinkerer proc. Those days are gone. You just get 1 proc per gen, so you're looking at probably like 5-ish a game. So how do you take advantage of that? Well, I will say one killer that works well on, because a lot of your aura reading that requires hooking survivors doesn't work that great on the Executioner because you're going to be trying to cage people. So you can run Tinkerer on the Executioner with Discordance. So you have 2 kind of location perks so you can find survivors, and you can really use that stealth to get in there and maybe get some double hits with your power, and then you have No Way Out, Deadlock. Again, gen regression doesn't require hooking. So solid build right there on the Executioner, and this can carry over to some other killers as well. It's just a solid build all around. So that's definitely one way to go with Tinkerer, and that's more of the generic way to go with Tinkerer. Your other option then, which is probably the stronger, but this is very plague specific, is to go with something like this, where you have Tinkerer, Discordance, same build that you just saw. The difference is our add-ons. With the Plague, Corrupt Purge activates every time a generator is completed. You lose 20 seconds, but then we get that 20 seconds back here with the Devotee's Amulet. So Iridescent Seal, Devotee's Amulet, you get your power every time a gen is completed. So you might be in chase, gen's close to being completed. You know you're going to have that power popping. You get a hit on them. They go to try to run away. Boom, you have your Corrupt Purge. Put them down. Maybe you're not in a chase. You know this is proccing. You'd head over there. They finish it as you're sneaking up on them. They don't know you're coming. They finish it, and now you can get some real quick injures and downs. So definitely very specific to the Plague, but very strong build as well. So this is a build we recommend if you are going with Tinkerer, and you can run it on a number of killers. It's not a bad build by any means. It's solid. Is there better options? Maybe, probably, but with the right add-ons and the right killers, it can be very strong. So those are kind of our thoughts. We'll go back over to the store just to take one last look at kind of our thoughts here. But yeah, that's the fort here. 3 kind of interesting build around off the wall perks there, and then 1 very strong perk that may not be top tier anymore, but is just right below that. So that's kind of our thoughts on the shrine. Hopefully this helps you guys make some decisions on how to spend your iridescent shards, and hopefully you stick around for the stream, or you leave some comments. Let us know what you think of the content on YouTube, or maybe we run into you in the fog. Anyway, I'm Smig. I'm going to quick log out of this recording, and I'll be over on the stream testing some of these out, just doing some dailies and working on some viewer requests as well.